So to talk about lion's mane mushrooms today, I'm going to transform into a superhero. And now that I have properly transformed, let's get into the presentation. Hello warriors, and welcome to the Soma Supplement Seminar, the series. And today's episode, we are going to feature none other than lion's mane mushroom. Now, lion's mane mushroom has been getting a lot of, attention lately for being known as the smart mushroom, in the sense that it helps to improve cognitive ability, and it falls under the classification of a nootropic. I covered nootropics when I looked at NAC and ashwagandha, so I will link to that video in the description. But going back to lion's mane mushrooms and the benefits that supplementing with lion's mane mushrooms can have on your superhero Earth avatar, which is why for this special occasion I am dressed as none other than Captain America. And Captain America has a fabulous quote, which I am going to attempt to recreate right now, which is, "When the press and the mob and the whole world tells you to move, when you know in your heart of hearts what is right, your job is to plant yourself like a tree beside the river of truth and proclaim, 'No, you move.'" And so in this spirit, I want us to all feel empowered in the sense of supplementing your soma, your earth avatar in this plane of existence. And so in the game of life, what we owe to ourselves is to have us functioning at optimal levels, and that includes our friends, the lion's mane mushrooms. So the lion's mane mushrooms are also a special guest, a special superstar ingredient in our Formula 1 and Formula 2 Soma supplements, and so I will link to that in the description as well. Okay, so I am not going to spend too much time. I had a lot of fun with this whole transformation into Captain America. I didn't know how it would all turn out, so I'm pretty pleased with how it did. So yay. And I think that in the spirit of what lion's mane mushrooms are, as we get into the presentation, into the benefits, into the really great research, as well as just the really great, I think, feedback I personally have had, as well as I think some anecdotal evidence from friends and family about the benefits of lion's mane mushroom, and why I think as we go forward into the age of Aquarius, that lion's mane mushrooms are going to help us functioning at that peak optimal level. And so let's get into it. Okay, warriors, welcome to the presentation. The Soma Supplement Seminar presents lion's mane mushrooms, and I have a beautiful image there of a lion, because this lion's mane mushroom is a beautiful mushroom. It does resemble a lion's mane and a brain at the same time. You will see in the next few slides. Okay, so as you can see, I've personified our friend the lion's mane mushroom, and that falls into the sense as these little guys are superheroes in their own right. And so, hi, I'm lion's mane mushroom, and I am hoping to help you think better, focus better, and even improve cognitively over time. And so lion's mane mushrooms have a very distinctive appearance with long cascading white spines, a kind of resembling a lion's mane, as you can kind of see from the photo. It is also known by other names such as satyr's beard, hedgehog mushroom, bearded hedgehog, pom-pom, and of course, in Japanese, it is called Yamabushitake, which literally means mountain priest mushroom. How cool is that? So another teacher within the fungi kingdom that we have at our very privileged to be able to leverage in our lifetime. And so what you're going to find out is that there's a lot of research, especially in the eastern part of the world, in Japan mainly, about using lion's mane mushrooms to actually improve. It's called the smart mushroom. Look at it. It looks like a brain. And so how it affects neurons specifically is evident in a lot of the research, and we're going to get into that. The benefits of lion's mane for brain health. I'm going to get into 5 benefits. There are many more. These are the top 5 that we are going to highlight in this current presentation. And so the first one is it stimulates the production of nerve growth factor, also known as NGF. I'm not a big fan of acronyms these days, so I'm trying to call things out for what they are. So the nerve growth factor, and it is exactly what it sounds like. It helps nerves grow back. Second, we have it improves the cognitive function, including learning and memory. There was an ancient Asian saying that lion's mane mushrooms give you the nerves of steel like a lion and the memory of a lion. I'm not quite sure if we had to confirm how if lions remember everything, but let's say the ancestral memory of that lion in terms of lion's mane helping to activate that and have that all kind of come through and strengthen the bonds between neurons and things like that. Next, it increases nerve regeneration after injury. And this is also an interesting relationship to how if you were to take powdered lion's mane and make a paste of it and you put it on a wound, it would actually help to help that wound heal. So it's not just neurons that it helps to heal after injury, it's actually other cells as well. So if we think of that cohesively and synergistically with other benefits from other mushrooms, it's suffice to say that as it comes to brain health, there's a level of like longevity that comes from supplementing with lion's mane mushrooms. Lion's mane mushrooms also stimulate the differentiation and the remyelination of neurons. So neurons, if you see the brain, like that white, you have like the white and gray matter. So the white stuff is basically the myelin. And what happens over time as we age is that the myelin gets thinner and, then the neurons are more prone to damage. And then, of course, you get cognitive impairment and yada, yada, yada. Lion's mane comes in like a hero to save the day and actually can help to remyelinate, reprotect those neurons by it's all kind of comes through that nerve growth factor. There's the herinthiums. I'm gonna put a little edit there with what exactly the compound is in the lion's mane mushroom that stimulates the NGF factor, because this is what helps to remyelinate the neuron, and that's what helps to have a happy, healthy neuron and helps to have those neurons firing. And that's what helps us improve our memory, ensure that when you're trying to solve a problem, you're able to think through different patterns and different ways to come to a solution faster. Just helps all that function, firing on all cylinders kind of thing. And finally, this last one is super promising because my grandfather passed away of Alzheimer's, and I myself have always had a concern of this. And there is wonderful research. I have the literature to back this up as well, but it reduces neurotoxicity induced by beta amyloid plaques. So the plaques, and these plaques are a primary biomarker for Alzheimer's. And so the reduction of these biomarkers for Alzheimer's would mean that hopefully you're less likely to get Alzheimer's, because Alzheimer's is all about that cognitive decline due to, age. And a lot of these diseases are not well understood. And so it's great to have a hero in this case. Due to the fact that there are a whole host of benefits as it comes to lion's mane mushrooms, and this is why we're doing a whole presentation just on lion's mane itself, I wanted to do a highlight on specifically the B-glucan polysaccharides in lion's mane mushrooms, which are said to contribute to being anti-cancers. And there are over 200 clinical trials registered for their use for a range of applications for just the glucans on their own. I think something to note that's very important here as it comes to the lion's mane mushroom and intake of the active compounds in them versus taking the full spectrum of the mushroom themselves is that it was found then in much of the research that the hot water extract, so if you took the let's go to the research study of the 50 to 60-year-old Japanese individuals who are suffering from cognitive impairment. They were given lion's mane mushroom, 2,500 milligrams of lion's mane mushroom twice daily, and at 6, 8, and 12 weeks, they had improvements in their cognitive function. And this is in older individuals, so to have your cognition actually improve over time is amazing. But what is also important to note is that how they took in that compound mattered. So just taking in a synthesized compound of lion's mane is not the same as the hot water extract. There was a noted difference in how the benefits played out. So that's just something to keep in mind as it comes to all mushrooms and not just lion's mane. Okay, so going back to the B-glucans, there are a lot of benefits as it comes to the B-glucans themselves, as it comes to being anti-cancer. If we go into your body's ability to repair itself, it's about upping the immune factor in the sense of your body's being in synergy of itself. And so this is a good segue into the next slide, where I'm going to get into nootropics as a whole and why when you're taking lion's mane, you'll kind of notice that you don't really need caffeine as much. And we do have a bit of a societal addiction to caffeine, I think. And if we look at the benefits of lion's mane mushrooms, I think that if you were to choose between the two in terms of supplementing on a daily basis, I think lion's mane wins. So let's get into that. Okay, so now we're going to go into lion's mane as a nootropic. And that old adage about giving you nerves of steel and mental resilience. All things that superheroes need, right? So a nootropic is defined as any substance that improves one's cognition. And it comes from the Greek words mind and towards, or rather to change in an intended way. And me being NLP, it's important to know what we're calling things. Also important to note that nootropic as a term, as an NLP term, is a relatively new classification along with an adaptogen as it comes to supplementation, because there are both pharmaceutical level nootropics such as Adderall and Ritalin, all the way to just natural nootropics, which I think are just better to keep to, especially since they, I feel, have a whole host of extra benefits on top of being just a nootropic, right? Okay, so speaking from personal experience, especially when leveraging my Formula 1 and Formula 2 supplements, lion's mane versus caffeine. Because lion's mane sensitizes your earth avatar, you're going to feel everything else a lot more. And so that's going to include caffeine, that's going to include pre-workout, that's going to include anything that affects your mental state and your emotional state. And so my recommendation is that if you're going to start supplementing with lion's mane, and I highly recommend that people do because of the benefits, especially as it comes to just having focus and feeling lucid, as well as it has a nice side benefit of dropping anxiety, improving gut health, and through the gut health improvement, that is likely where the mood improvement comes from as well. Okay, so as it comes to lion's mane versus caffeine, you'll find that taking lion's mane will sensitize you to caffeine. And so if you're used to taking, I don't know, I used to be a huge stim junkie and like huge, pre-workouts, like crazy pre-workouts. There was this pre-workout called Hide, I think I used to take, and it was like 200 milligrams. And like, we have a problem in our society with the amount of caffeine that we take, and it gets very addictive. And when you try to come off of it, you do get like withdrawals. And I'm going to try to find, I feel like there's a little piece on spiders and they're weaving webs on different types of substances, different types of drugs. And if you look at caffeine's web, it's like fucked up. But I think it's like LSD's like beautiful. So if you think about that in terms of if you're trying to do anything creative and you want to like stay awake, I get into my article about how caffeine actually works. It basically imitates a neurotransmitter. It's an imposter, a neurotransmitter, and it prevents you from feeling tired. Whereas lion's mane, you can actually take before bed. Some people recommend that depending on how you're using it. But otherwise, you can have it with like magic mushies and it will give you more focus. And so it's a different way of being on as opposed to being like jittery and tired. Because I remember when I used to like study for exams and like pull all-nighters, like just being high on like caffeine and like chocolate covered coffee beans, it was like not a good feeling, and you're like feeling your heart. So like you don't get any of that with lion's mane. So I think in this case, lion's mane is the clear winner. And I love that my little pom mic is on the same side as lion's mane. How beautiful. Okay, so for more magic, you can check us out at Sacred Soma Alchemy. You can also email us at kevinrachelz@protonmail.com. I will have a link in the description below as to how you can order Soma from us, as well as how you can get any kind of educational resources as it comes to Soma supplementation and any protocols that we have to offer your Earth avatar. And if you are interested in superhero fitness coaching, I'm going to drop a link to that in the description below, because this is all part of finding the superhero within, because no one's going to save us but ourselves, and we save the world by saving ourselves. And so with that, my warriors, that is the presentation all about lion's mane. I hope that you have found this informative, and I will link to my article all about lion's mane, which features all of the really great research about it. I look forward to any of your comments or any of your experiences supplementing with lion's mane. Did you like it? Have you used enough of it? Let's chat. Anyways, have a great one anywhere you may be. Signing off.